Welcome. And with us today, I have Anya. Anya, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
What state are you in? I don't think I actually caught that.
Right now, we are in Arizona. We used to live in Minnesota.
Okay, awesome. So, how long have you been homeschooling?
I homeschooled at least 3 different years. I did that because of my children's father died. And during that time, I felt that was during COVID, and I felt for my youngest, who was about 11 at the time, way too much for my son to deal with grief and go to school. That was kind of at the time when he was passing. So I learned through a lot of experience that our society does not know how to handle grief. 1 week off when your child's parent dies is not enough. They shouldn't be forced to just ignore that some big event happened and then just move on. And
Yeah.
I only had the confidence to do this because this was my third kid. And I've already had, children through school knowing that this was not going to be right for us.
So, did you just homeschool your one child at that time?
Yep, because my other kids were teenagers. It was during COVID. They were doing school online, and it was when they were going back and forth, in school, not everything was very not scheduled. It was just that type of thing. So I just knew my little one was too young, and we ended up skipping an entire year of school, and absolutely wonderful things happened to him when he did not have to go to school. I can see that other people might be very afraid to be like, oh my gosh, what do I do if I take my son out of school? I've actually taken him out of at least 2 years of school, and he goes right back into school and completely catches up.
Really?
Hmm.
So, when you take them out, are you homeschooling? Are you doing a curriculum or any sort of intentional learning with them
So
or
I plan
just
to.
living life?
I plan to. I tried to do a curriculum. I tried to, because I am one of these more tree huggery, let's teach things. I'm one of those moms. And what I noticed was every morning he fought me and did not want to do it. Even
Yeah.
when I bought all the stuff and I was like, with what our family's going through, I can't handle this right now. And I just made our house the school. Like it's unschooling. And I planned to homeschool, but it turned into unschooling. And the thing is, my son was, after a couple of years of doing this, he was actually very, like the shortest and smallest kid in his class. And after at least 2 years of unschooling him, he's completely grown. He was sleeping 12 hours a night, didn't have the stress of having to get these assignments in. And now he's like average size when before he was the smallest one in his whole class, including the girls.
So, okay, how old was he when you took him out of school?
11. He's 16 now and back in
Okay.
regular. He chooses now to be in public education. Like, I don't have to make him go. He does it on his own because he's had both options.
Yeah, so that's interesting too. So how long had you kept him home? Did you say 3 years?
Oh, gosh, I can't even remember. It's at least 2 different school years, but we would like skip a year and then we moved from Minnesota, Arizona, and then I put him right back into school. Didn't miss a beat. Didn't miss anything. Wasn't behind in anything. Just jumped right back in. That's what I think people don't understand is if you take your kid out of school for a year, depending on the situation and the time, nothing will happen bad. Nothing.
Wow, that is crazy. I have never really thought of it in those terms because the unschoolers that I talk to, they're still unschooling. So it's not like they would know if their kids went to public school or traditional school,
Yeah.
are your kids on par or not? I've talked to people who have graduated, they're unschoolers and they're successful in life, but there's not really like a metric to say, okay, did you learn anything at home? Did you learn anything at school? Here you go.
Now that I am what I would call a seasoned mother, a seasoned mother, I have had 3 kids. My youngest is 16 and I've seen it. And now I realize that they don't need every little bit of that structured environment depending on the situation. It's not a black and white thing to say, oh, I'm going to unschool, my kids are never going to go back. The world is so a mess right now that this is a great time to make informed choices. I went to 4 years of college. I have a business degree and plenty of other education. The last thing I wanted my kids to do was to go spend $30,000 a year and go into college. For what?
Yes.
For what? They're in school, community college, part time, have jobs. We have to stop this mentality of thinking I have to get through this much education to be what society wants me to be as a person. These kids are way smarter than that. I mean, I really want people to look at this and go, these kids are all cheating with AI. Every single one of them is. And we are lying to ourselves if we think that they're actually learning something from all this AI use.
Yes. And then when you think about the money that you would spend, not just on community college, but on 4 years away and room and board, they're coming out with at least $200,000 in debt if they did a 4-year school with room and board. I mean, it's at least two. And then when you compound the interest on top of that, oh my God, it's got to be like $1 million. I should do the math on that. It's just setting them up for never being able to own a home or being able to be a stay-at-home mom if they choose that later in life. It's really convoluted.
It really, really is. It, I think it really did take the confidence of being, my last child is 4 years different than my first two. So the first two are 2 years apart, and then there was a 4 year gap. And I think that was enough time for me to see, like, this educate. We all know this deep in our hearts. We know we don't need to go to school every single day for 7 hours the way the system has designed it. We all can look back and say, I didn't really need that. My son got his first job, and he was given this job when they normally don't hire 16-year-olds, and he's more responsible than any of the other employees there because he wants to be there. He knows the discipline from home. I did the disciplining and the real mothering. I haven't had a TV in my house for at least 10 years. We don't have cable. If you don't sit in front of that TV all day long, you got to get your life stuff done. My son knows how to
You're
cook.
so right.
He knows how to do his laundry. He knows how he has a checking account. He has his own debit card.
Yeah.
They work
And those are so important to teach them, just those real life skills. And then other things kind of flourish from them. Well, here's a debit card. We're going to talk now about how interest works and how debt works and how you can gain interest if you have money in, certain types of accounts and how you have to pay interest if you're taking out money, a loan from the bank and really getting into those conversations because yeah, again, with the college debt, they never teach you that in school that, okay, well, your loan might be 200,000, but here's what you're actually paying back. Nobody has that concept.
I mean,
Now,
would we
how did your son, yeah, go ahead.
just want to ask the question, would we buy a house if the whole price of the house was on the document before we bought it? Would we really do that?
Oh, you're so right. I mean, I'm sure it's there somewhere in like the amortization schedule, but they're not showing you that piece. They're
Why
just
don't they?
saying, sign here,
Why don't they?
sign
That's my
here.
question. Why don't we ask, how much am I paying for this
Yeah.
before I even sign into this?
Yeah. Yes, definitely for the college. I don't remember signing anything for college loans. I'm sure my mother did, but they were still in my names. Geez, that's so weird to think about that, your parent can just take out these loans for you. I'm sure there's been some sort of things to go south with those.
I'm a single mom, and I did not sign those paperwork because my kids weren't properly motivated. They didn't want that experience, and they lived through a life. I didn't pay off my student loans until I was a single mom with 3 kids in 50-50 custody. I had a party on the phone with a woman when I finally finished paying it off.
Now, what made your son want to go back to school?
I feel like after staying at home and he slept 12 hours a night. We eat healthy food. I don't have a TV. We moved out somewhere. We're in Arizona and it's a little more country out here he's a boy. He had to be more physical. Like the job he has right now is very outdoors and physical. That's what boys need. I think we all
Mm.
know this. These boys aren't misbehaving. They're not in the proper environment. And the system is not going to make good choices for us. The system is set up to do certain things. If you don't like it, you have to put up a boundary and say, I'm not doing that. People think, oh, they won't let my kid back in school. Really? Yeah, they will. They'll let your kid back in school. There's moms out there who are like, I refuse to force my kid to do this. They pass the kids anyway.
Yeah. It's time to start taking back ownership of like, this is my child and this is what we're going to do. I think, and that was one of the biggest reasons that I started homeschooling because when they wanted to mask the kids and I was like, wait, my kid's 3. I don't want a mask on him. And it was kind of like, sorry, you have no say in this, mom. And I was like, wow, we really don't have any say over our kids. But could you demand it? Like, we just feel same with the pediatrician. You feel that you're stuck until you know your rights and what you actually can and can't do.
They literally tell you that you can't go to school without all these vaccines. I have been
Mm.
sending, filling out conscientious exemption forms for my kids since they started school. I mean, I didn't know, but I was ahead of the game. So they cannot make you have these vaccines. There's conscientious exemption forms. They tell you one thing, what happens in reality is something completely different.
Well, you're right, but there are 5 states where we don't have exemption. Like, they won't allow us to submit an exemption form because I'm in New York,
Okay. And so
and
that's
your
just
your
my
kid.
experience in the two states we lived in.
Yeah,
That was my experience. I will correct myself
yeah.
with that.
Well, no, but in 45 states, and you're right that people don't know that. It's people think that you have to have everything on the schedule because the pediatricians, they do get paid more money. They want a very high percentage of their practice to be fully vaccinated, and they get, kickbacks for that, bonuses for that too. But we think that if they don't ask you, do you want this at the appointment, they just say, this is what he's due for today. So you do it, but yeah, only in New York, California, Connecticut. Wait on New York, California, Maine. I won't go into the other two, but because there's some back and forth, I think on the Mississippi, because they like got their exemption back and then they lost it again. But there's 5 states, and so if you're in the other 45, you can submit an exemption form.
I think people need to actually sit down in their own selves and think, why would they want me to have this? Why? People are just like, we know that we have to understand that these pediatricians are getting paid to do this stuff. It's not necessarily in the best interest. I'm not sitting here telling people vax or not vax, go to school or not go to school. This is the time to make conscious choices. Like, I knew my kid could not function in that school and be healthy in the situation that we were in. So I did something about it. Did we get judged? Yeah, a lot. We got judged a lot. But he's
What was
16.
that like?
It's frustrating because I know the truth for me and what's right for my family. I mean, I would go to the doctor and say finally, okay, this is a vaccine that we are getting at the time. And I would get yelled at and lectured because I didn't get all the other vaccines. I'd just look at them and say, no, that's not what I'm doing. Walk out. It's not fun.
Mhm.
That's why I just haven't shared a lot of this information because it's frustrating.
Yeah. Were you judged and criticized by family and friends?
All of them, the doctors, family, friends, but none of them were going to be there for me if my kid was going to be sick. And I had to look inside my soul and be like, is this the right thing or not? Like, this is why I didn't send my kid to daycare. I'm not saying it was easy. It drives you crazy, 3 little kids, 2 in diapers or a baby. Our society is not set up correctly. We shouldn't be letting people do this. It's supposed to take a village.
Right.
Wrong. And I don't have little kids anymore, but I look at these parents and I'm like, how are you doing this with how everything is now? I haven't lost my
Yeah.
empathy. It's the same thing. Like, everyone knows you send your kids to daycare. They get sick all the time and it's so stressful. You have to make a certain amount of money to pay for daycare. My daycare when I had my
Mhm.
first baby was $250 a week and I was only making $500 at the time. That was in
Wow.
2003. And I had a business
So
degree and a
half,
professional job. That is the number one reason why I have not worked a full-time job.
yeah. And so the daycare thing is interesting too, because I sent my son to daycare at 6 months old. And then when I had my daughter, I had already pulled him out because of the masking situation and decided, I think we're going to homeschool. So I started the podcast when she was born, actually, but I worked for the government and I was like, can I really quit a job with a pension and the health insurance in the house? And that was really hard too, but I haven't regretted it a day, you know. Yeah, we don't have the income, but I can make more money later when my kids are older and don't need me as much. I'm never going to be able to get back the years that they were small. And now that I have been home with my daughter every single day since she was born, I see all the things that she needs throughout the day. And then I feel bad because I'm like, oh my God, my son needed me and I wasn't there. So, but yeah, you live and learn. It's a cool perspective to have, at least to give other people who are debating.
Yeah, I'm a very old soul and I had issues physically where I didn't know if I would be able to have kids. So then when I did get pregnant and have kids, when I could, I'm like, I just asked myself this question. This is not a judgmental question because it was very, very hard to be home and be the one that the kids have to follow. People don't understand. You are giving up a piece of your nervous system to regulate that
Mm,
child's nervous system. As someone who has done her
interesting.
shadow work and her inner child work on a deep level, people don't understand that you have a child to mirror things from your childhood so you can learn and make better choices. People don't understand that.
That's funny because I just saw a post, I think yesterday, that said something to that effect. Like your child is supposed to show you, I don't know, teach you
Hmm.
something about yourself in
Yeah.
your childhood. But that makes a lot of sense. There's certain things that, my son does that trigger me from
Yeah.
things in my childhood. And, you know, I have really had to look at like, okay, what can I do to react better or make a better connection with him? And I'm
Yes.
still not there. I'm like,
We're moving out of
I don't
this
know. I treat
moving out of this idea where I'm the parent, you're the child, you do whatever I say. We're moving
mm,
into this, what is this relationship teaching both of us? And after I had a spiritual awakening and God showed me what my purposes in life was, I got to look back at everything I did as a mother, and it was things that were trying to heal my inner child and doing things for my kids that either I didn't have or I improved on. That people don't understand that that is a very deep reason that we come into being. Coming in, just being born is an experience, and giving birth
mm,
to other beings is an experience. And did you learn from your experience in your childhood and treat your children better than you were treated? Or, my parents did not eat healthy. We drank all that Kool-Aid and all that sugar. I never allowed that for my kids. And yes, my family gave me a really hard time. My family was putting wine coolers up to my children's mouth when they were kids, thinking, oh, it's no big deal. I'm like, nowadays that would be seen as insanity. I mean, I had family
yeah.
members saying, oh, you're not going to make your own baby food. Darn right I did. Took a vegetable, put it through a little mill. There's your baby food.
Yeah. Well, and that's funny too, because I remember like thinking like, oh, people that make their own baby food, that's crazy. And then now that I'm part of the homeschooling community, which they tend to be just more health conscientious, I'm like, yeah, you're right. You're just taking something and putting it in a blender. What's that easy?
I mean, we didn't have a lot of money, but I didn't think about it at the time. I was busy. I was taking care of three kids, getting things done every day. I worked part-time and I was home with them. My kids are really sensitive, to all kinds of different things because I'm sensitive. And I did what I had to do. It was a regular schedule, nap times, early bed times, and I am thankful that at that point, where I lived in the Midwest was a little bit, a suburb that was a little bit further out, not dangerous, outside all the time, 4 seasons. It was a great childhood for them. I don't have to look back and think I did not do enough.
So now, I want to go back to a little bit more about your son going back to school. I know you
Yeah,
said that academically he
yeah,
didn't miss a beat. Like
no,
he was right there, like math and everything.
everything. I realized that it was really more of the problem that I noticed with my youngest son is that he spends so much time, and I did not even hook up his phone until this year. He has been going around with a phone that only hooks to Wi-Fi. And I realized the number one problem with him in school is that he's so used to all these fast videos that he has a hard time slowing down to actually learn anything because everything is videos and online. He doesn't like reading or anything. He does it. He has to.
Okay. So now that was kind of leading to my question that I was going to ask next was how did you know, like, did you notice anything socially different? Like, okay, now all the kids in his grade have phones. So we have to join the crowd for that, or they all have social media pages. Like, what was that like?
Don't fall into that crap. I'm just too strong of an old soul to do that. I realized very early I didn't want these kids to have their phones. Their father gave them to them. I didn't. I realized that I already had a little bit of a social media addiction and I didn't want to pass that on to my kids. I just have never done that. I'm not afraid of disappointing my kids for something that I think is morally good for them.
How did you handle that
I just
when your son went back into school?
I mean, he always had the friend. That didn't change. He was just kind of waiting for them to get out of school. I honestly think that the challenges that my son has faced has given him a stronger character and made him kind of search for things that he really wants more than just, he puts up resistance to me, but I just trust that he can get what he wants. I mean, he's a strong little boy. He gets what he wants.
Mm,
They know how to do that. I mean, kids do that. It's in their nature.
yeah. Yeah. Well, this has been so cool to hear about, just giving parents the confidence of one, you can take ownership of your family and your children. You are their parent. The government does not own them. And two, just, they will fall right back into whatever like, you don't have to worry about the rigorous schedule with sitting down for reading and math and science and history and art and, making sure they're learning Latin and Greek. You know, they're gonna be just fine. They are resilient and they're gonna learn what they want to learn when they're ready to learn it.
I've learned that especially with my last child is if he doesn't want to do it, he's not going to do it. And that made him stronger at school because he can see through the crap that's not real or he doesn't need. I mean, we used to go in, when we were in Minnesota, we were in one of the schools that's the top third in the entire state, and Minnesota is pretty well funded. And all I saw my kids coming home was to look on the dashboard from, they were given devices, computers and laptops and everything. And their whole goal was not to learn, it was just to get the crap done so the teacher wouldn't bug them.
Yeah, I remember those days too.
But I went in with the intention of I want my kid to learn the right things. It wasn't that I kept him home. I didn't let him watch TV all day. So when he didn't want to learn school, I was like, okay, but you're not watching TV. So that's how the house became the school. He had to learn how to cook. He had to learn we got a new dog at the time. He had to learn how to take care of the dog, take the dog out, learn all these responsibilities with his own sense of, I need to get this done, not someone telling him to do it. So the house becomes a school if you don't allow the things that we shouldn't have, like unlimited screen time, unlimited junk food. Still had the responsibilities every day of doing that stuff. And that's what real life is. I mean, we need to
Yeah.
really look at ourselves and go like, how much of this education do we need? And especially for boys, there's big relationship problems because boys don't know how to relate to certain things. We live
Yes.
in a society that it has very messed up ideas of relationship.
Yeah.
It's not healthy. And you only can find healthy if you figure out what's right for your family.
Do you have advice to the parents that are saying, I do have that inner child that, my parents did things wrong with and I want to fix it? How do you even go about doing that? Do you need therapy? Do you need, or is there stuff we can do at home?
The first thing I learned through all of this is you don't go to therapy to make your life better. You go to therapy to feel your feelings, to get better at feeling. So I always thought that therapy was going to make my situation better. No, it's making me more clear about what I want and what I need in my life. Just
So you talk
look at
about therapy.
look at your child as someone who's teaching you something for you to work through and relate to and learn something from. Children and pets are constantly giving us clues in our life. Constantly. Children have natural telepathy and they have natural BS detectors in there, and we all know it. Any mother who's tried to have a conversation with her friend on the phone knows darn well that those kids' intuition and telepathy are real strong.
That's funny.
Isn't
That
it
is true.
true though?
Yes. Oh, yeah, for sure. Are there any last parting words that you have for parents that are thinking of homeschooling or wondering, am I doing enough?
My advice is we're probably doing way more than we need to be doing to make ourselves happy and well adjusted, giving, kind people. Most homeschoolers know the people that have been doing it for a really long time, they only homeschool about 2, 3 hours a day. The experienced people who've done it for long periods of time. I've only done it sporadically for particular situations. but the ones that have done it for a long time, they know that it doesn't take 6 hours or 7 hours a day to teach children what they need to know for each year of their growth.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's even more like an hour in the elementary school years. And I've had someone tell me you can teach your child everything they need to be successful in life in their 4 years of high school, and everything else is just sort of exploring and having fun,
Yeah. The
or should
experts
be.
all talk about emotional intelligence being the number one quality that makes a person successful. There's all kinds of research about this. And that is, in my opinion, completely true. If you can feel people, read emotions, take direction, have self discipline, these are all godly qualities that we teach our kid. And, even the fact that when we're like, oh, you have to do your homework because of this, I didn't tell my kids that. I didn't tell my kids go get A's. I'm like, get at least C's. That's it. That's all I've told them. And most of their classes, they end up getting better grades because I don't push them into it. I mean, I have that bottom level of what I expect. And if you don't do that, I'll get involved. But I don't have to push them to do it because they know what they need to do now, especially my last kid when
Yeah.
he got a job. He was able to put that stuff that you learn from school into real life situations. That's what we're lacking. These kids don't have
Hmm.
real life skills anymore because they've just been told what to do. I also want to say for our family, I don't like team sports. Not my thing. My son was into scootering and skateboarding at the skate park. He has learned so many relational skills from having to get along with other little boys at a skate park with no adults there. I mean, yes, there's adults looking and, but it's not like a football team where a coach is saying, do this, do that, don't do this, don't do that. They have to learn it in a natural way to relate to other people.
That makes so much sense. Anya, thank you for being here today. I hope the recording came out smoothly. I know we had a couple of
It's okay.
technical errors, but what you had to say was so inspirational and really make people kind of stop and think about what's really important. So thank you so much for being here today.